Hey guys, this is Crap Hunter, and welcome back to World of Tanks. Woo! Now, today I'm going to be having a look at the IS. This is the Tier 7 Russian heavy tank, and it is not that bloody flag. This is the, there you go, in between the KV-1S and the IS-3. This is a very good tank. I'm just going to say it's a very good tank. Very fun to drive. Very, a bit of a pain to grind through, but once you get the right gun, the turret, everything, you're sorted. But yeah, very good tank to drive. Very surprising as well. I will be honest with you. There are some things in this tank which you wouldn't expect, but are there, and you can totally use a variety of tactics with this thing, making it a very useful tank. So, without further ado, let's get started. 1,230 hit points. Now that's definitely an improvement from the previous tank line. If you're a KV-1S driver, which is the most commonly route you get to this tank, you'll be definitely relieved to hear about that. When you start out with this tank, you've only got 1,130 hit points, but there is little to no difference. So, well, apart from the 100, but still, you know, it's still very good. You know, for definitely an improvement upon the heavy tank series. Now, if we can compare it with the more popular, with the other Tier 7 tanks. Let's have a look, see. So, the T-29. This will be the this will be quite a common tank you'll see on the battlefield, with obvious reasons. What does this thing have? It has 1,150 off the beat. When it gets its upgradable turret, I'm assuming it'll be... I will assume that it would be very powerful. It will be 1,150. I mean, it's still a very powerful turret, you know. Massive armor. I was just looking at the armor and I was saying it's very powerful. That's what got me. Honestly. For the British, what do the British have? The Black Prince, as well, doesn't have an upgradable turret, so what's its hit points? 1,450. That's quite a lot. Definite upgrade. 230. 20, sorry. I know my maths. Better than you. Oh dear. What about Deutschland? Deutschland, she has, for the Tiger tank, she has 1,450, the same. And so if we have a look at the Tiger P, what do you have? 1,350, and obviously when you upgrade the turret, it's going to be the same. So both the Tiger P and the Tiger have the same hit points. Ah, okay, better than you. What about the French? Now the French have known to have low hit points, but will they break this trend? Nope, you're fine. No, what you'll have, an upgraded AMX M445 will have 1,200 hit points. So you'll be better, but not by much. And of course for the Chinese, because they've copied you, it's the same thing. It's 1,230. So, okay, you're not really on top of the hit point league, but that said, it's not like you're French. Well, it's not bad. I mean, you know, you're not great. You can't take so many punches, but you can definitely take a few more punches than you could when you were in the KV-1S. Put it that way. So, let's have a look at the tonnage, and this is one of the big surprises of this tank. Look at the weight. Nearly, just under 47 tons. Now, I've fully upgraded it and everything, and it's just under 47 tons. That's bloody good. That's very good for a heavy tank. You'd expect a tank like this with a 122mm gun and equipment on board and shells to fire this damn thing would be heavy. But no. In fact, if you want, let's compare the American tanks first. You know, the more popular tank. The T-29, right? Its top gun is only 105mm. What's its turret? Well, how much does it weigh? 63 tons, and if you upgrade its tracks, you're looking at 66 tons. Shit! I'm pretty much 20. I weigh 20 tons less than the T-29. What about the British tanks? Well, it's a British tank. How much does it weigh? 50 tons. So, okay. Well, it's not surprising. It's a Churchill. Well, it's an upgraded Churchill. The Tiger tank, how much does this weigh? It only got an 88mm gun. 57 tons. 10 tons less. What about the Porsche Tiger? 59 tons. How much does it tracks weigh? 65 tons. Oh my, moi, new word, moi, oh moi. What about the AMX 445? Its top tonnage, 60 tons. So you may not have as much health as much of the other tanks, but you are very much the lightest. By almost 20 tons for some tanks. Oh, wow. That's crazy. And this also means your maneuverability and speed are impacted as well. Now, you may and this is one of the better parts I would say about this tank. You see the engine power there, you see 600 HP. That's the stock engine. Oh, there you go. I'm using the stock engine. Yes. Yes, I am. And this thing is still just as effective with a stock engine. Now, normally, I would have a review where I would be like, right, okay, I'm going to wait until I get all the parts of the tank to make it kind of elite, and all the things I'll need, and then I can go into battle, and then I can play it, and then I'll review it upon the top stuff. But in this tank, this is one of the exceptions to the rule, where you can actually review it before having it, because the engine actually works just as well stock. And this is a really great tank for stock engines. Shame it's the only one I've got so far. But no, the speed to it, unfortunately, it doesn't say. Does it say? If we look at the tech tree, does it say? I don't think it does. No, it doesn't. It just shows you damage. What it does is the power to weight ratio gives it a good 34 kilometers per hour, and it can reach that speed. I mean, it's not so... Its acceleration to that speed takes a little bit of time, I will grant you. But when you get going, you can get there. And it's a very good tank for that. You know, you can keep up with the rest of your other heavy tanks out there. So this thing acts really well in an attack. Really fantastic. Its traverse speed as well is absolutely brilliant. 35 degrees... Do you know what's the best part? You know what? I know it sounds crazy, but you could use this as a medium. Now, the only reason why I say that is because it's in the research. You get a variety of different guns. Obviously, most people go for the D25T and the D25T, but I'll go into that later. But you can also use the 100mm D1T, D110T, and the 85mm 85BM. But I reckon if you're going to use it, go for this one. I reckon. Because it's 100 millimeters. It does about roughly 8 rounds, well, about roughly 7.5 rounds a minute. Same penetration as the D25T, and it's got decent damage, decent accuracy. You could use this to circle heavy tanks and knock them out. If you had a platoon of these, you could totally, you'd make the enemy think, oh, okay, this is going to be a heavy tank. He's going to drive it like a heavy tank. No, I'm going to drive it like a medium. I mean, this is... I'm sorry, it's making me speechless thinking about how useful this thing is. And if we look at the turret traversity, okay, 28 traverse, not so fine. It's not great, but you still can, you know, aim at least, and you can still shoot this. It's very good. Maybe the only thing that perhaps stops you from being a medium tank is that turret traverse. But, you know, if you get the top gun... Well, if you get the IS-85, I reckon you could... Yeah, I think you can, actually. You can actually use the 100... You could use the original KV turret. You lose 100 health, but you can be a medium tank. Wow. You know, it's just totally surprising at how effective this thing could be a medium tank. It's spooky. Jeez. But, of course, with all good tanks which have very useful capabilities, there are going to be drawbacks. Your view range and your signal range. We'll go into armor for a second. The view range of this thing is not so fine. If you have a look at the American tank, what does the American top turret give you? It gives you 380 view range. Not that one, that one. Right, okay. 30 better than you. That's not great. What about the British? The British are very good at observation. What can they do? 370. So 20 better than you. Not as good as the Americans, but 20 better than you. What about Germany? Right, well. Top turret, Porsche 370, the same. I'm just going to assume the same on that one. Oh, turn Ostif F. 370. Yep, it's going to be the same. The French, the AMX 445, 360. So only 10 better than you. And of course the IS2, which probably has the same view range. Yeah, 350. So, okay, crap. So the view range, like the KV-1S, is pretty poor. Well, it has to be. I mean, come on. it, yeah, it's one of those drawbacks which you're going to have to take. The signal range as well, actually, you're going to be in a bad position. Even though I've got a tier 9 radio, it only goes up to 625. That's not very good. Especially since, let's have a look at the Chinese. What do the Chinese have? They've got a tier 9 radio, and it's actually worse than you. So never fear, if you see an IS-2, you'll be thinking, yes, I can beat your radio. But the French, they get a tier 10 radio, which is 750. Oh dear. Deutschland, although it doesn't get a tier 10 radio, it gets the FUG 12, which is my favourite radio of all time. It does loads of tanks, and it's at 710 signal range, so it beats yours. The British get only to tier 8, but they get 700 signal range, because, you know, one of the bigger parts of England was our radio capabilities. The Americans get, I believe, yes, a tier 10 radio, 745. So America beats you radio-wise. Okay, so the enemy can see further than you and detect further than you. Right, okay. Well... yeah, well... not so fine. I mean, the armor as well, I would say it's a bit of a mix. The armor isn't bad. 120 at the front, a 90 to the sides, 60 to the rear. For the turret armor, it's 100 to the front, 90 to the sides and rear. I'll be honest with you, this thing isn't like bad armor, it's kind of in between. You know, it's bad that in the sense that it doesn't do very well in most slugfests. You know, you'll probably get penned and shot at and killed if you spend too long in the open. But if you angle the tank correctly, you can bounce a fair amount of shots. I remember, in fact, quote me if I'm wrong, feel free to put in the comments section if I'm wrong, but in previous patches, this wasn't around. I do not recall seeing this around in previous patches. It used to be that those sort of flat-shaped lines there, and there they weren't there. It originally used to be a flat sort of weirdish anglish line, and the IS tank would be quite bounceable with that. I mean, as you can see on the front, it's not very well angled, but it can still bounce shots. I've bounced shots off the side here. I've bounced shots off the side of this turret as well. I'd say a couple on the gun mantlet, like around here. If you hit this bit there, they might pen, but they might bounce off. I mean, it's very easy to bounce off the front part there. And occasionally they've bounced off that point. But if you're going to look for weak points, well, not too hard to find them. First of which, you've got the under glacis to go for. So I can imagine for some people, they don't really want to try shooting at the under glacis when there's tracks there, but they don't actually stop anything. It's still a weakness to go for. It may bounce, it may not bounce, but it's still a weakness to go for. The secondary weakness, which is the most obvious, is this massive cupola here, this bit here. If you've got a good gun, if you've got a German gun, if you're like a Stug driver or a Jagdpanzer 4 driver or a Jagdpanzer driver, then this will be a priority target. Of course, you've also got the driver's hatch as well. Maybe the light, who knows? But generally speaking, most guns, if you're not careful, can penetrate. So the best way to do it is angle it. And then you can see, I think along maybe this line perhaps, just about. Not very forgiving, but maybe just about here-ish. So you can, like, most shots will just go boing, boing, boing. Sort of very feeble boing noises. But yeah, so that'll do something to help you out. The turret, well, generally speaking, you don't really want to show the sides and rear to it, because more often than not, you'll either hit the commander, killing him, or you might even set the tank on fire and making it explode. The ammunition is probably stored around here, as most heavy tanks are. The machine gun port, I don't think actually has any sign of a weakness, but who knows, that might be where the radio man is, but it looks more like the commander's patch. Obviously the engine as well. If you get a side shot, try aiming around here. You increase the chances of setting an enemy tank on fire. It's like that with the KV-1S. If you don't aim straight for the engine, if you aim somewhere around here, as much if you want for popular belief, no, shooting the fuel tanks will not instantly set the tank on fire. They're just for decorative purposes. If you shoot the tank around here-ish, you can have a higher chance of setting the enemy tank on fire, or setting an enemy IS on fire, and a KV-1S. So, you know, this thing definitely has its flaws. It's not completely perfect, but, and I'll be honest with you, if I mentioned it in the previous video, when I was reviewing the KV-1S, if I didn't, I don't think I did. So what I will say is that the KV-1S teaches you how to be an IS driver. Now it doesn't have all the features, but it teaches you the core aspects of what this tank does, because most people assume with big tanks with big guns as they're the tanks that kill a lot of people. No, not the case. In fact, more often than not, sometimes the biggest gun is best to support your team players. I'm not saying you basically provide suppressive fire. I'm talking just about damaging your opponent to the point where it only takes maybe 1 or 2 shots from your allies to finish him off. Most of the time, that's where you get your credits. It's not about the killing. I mean, obviously, it's brilliant because you can kill a lot of tanks with these things. But at the same time, more often than not, you might find yourself in a position where your shots really just do the bit before the killing blow, to put the camel on his back, sort of, to put it basically to damage your opponent to a very weakened state. So when working in platoons, for example, this worked really well. In fact, I've actually had a decent couple. In one of the replays, actually, I'm going to show you. I basically work with a couple of friends of mine where I utilize this skill, and it works like a charm. So, but anyway, yeah, I would definitely say that this thing is more of a supportive role. And to show you so much, I'll show you the gun. Now, this is the D25T. This is the main reason why people probably go for this tank, is because of its powerful 122mm D25. But there's something I'm going to show you which is rather interesting. Well, there's 2 things I'm going to show you which is rather interesting, but one of them is just goes to show. Hang on, where is it? Boom. There you go. So this is the D25T. This is the gun that you normally have if you were on the not the IS, the KV-1S, right? This is the top gun on it, right? Same caliber. Increased rate of fire, but not by much. Has the same penetration for premium and non-premium. Has the same amount of damage. Has the same amount of accuracy. And has the same amount of aiming time. The only 2 differences you have is firing rate, or rate to fire, as I should say, and maybe kilograms. It weighs 10 kilograms lighter than the D25T. That is it. There is literally no difference between the 2 guns. The only noticeable thing is the aiming time, is the rate of fire. That is it. I mean, there you go. This is the thing about the IS tank. It is an incredibly powerful tank. And if you can use this correctly, you will very much annihilate your opponents. Very much so. I mean, the awesome thing, of course, though, about this tank is you get a very good selection of guns. If you like the D25T, but you don't really find it to be as useful as you'd hope, you have the ability to research the 100mm D10T, which has the same penetration, and actually better premium penetration. Or does it? I can't remember. Nope. Has better penetration. Has the same penetration, less damage, but still quite effective. You can utilize that as well, if you're not so determined. But of course, everyone mainly goes for the D25T. I mean, it's just a given, you know. But that said, people can utilize its lighter gun to fire quicker shots. Who knows? Well, that's pretty much how it could work, I suppose. But yeah, so you know, this thing has a variety of tactics, and what I would recommend, well, you can choose really. One of the best parts about this tank is it's very customizable. Is that very customizable? I think that's a word. Yeah, it's going to be now. It's very much a customizable tank. You can utilize this for not for scouting, God no, but you can utilize this for medium tanks. So if you're with part of a platoon, if you got a bunch of your mates, and you say, oh, we need a decent tank which can, is a medium tank but could take a few punches, this is for you, because with a 700 horsepower engine, and maybe if you want to sacrifice a bit of health for armor, well, sacrifice a bit of health and view range for traverse, then you could totally put the older turret back on and stick 100 millimeters worth of gun. You could make this thing an incredibly powerful medium tank, like stick the engine as well in it. And that's a surprise. I mean, I'm really still surprised at how effective this thing could be a medium. I mean, obviously it's not perfect by any means necessary, but it's still, you can still make it work for that purpose. Or if your team, like I've done in the past, if you've got a team who of mediums but they need a heavy to support them, you can be the heavy tank that supports the attack. You can hold your own, given the given the luck, I suppose, and given how many enemies there are. But you can hold your own. You can hold your own against a fair amount of tanks, in fact. Very good. Very, very good. Very good tank for that one. So let's get on to the equipment, shall we? Now, what I went with is ventilation, large caliber tank gun rammer, and an enhanced gun laying drive. Because although, I mean, of course you've got a very powerful gun, but the problem is with this gun, it's 3.4 aiming time. Makes it very difficult, and of course it's 4.6 accuracy, makes it very difficult for you to be able to fire quick snappy shots with this thing. So anything that can help your tank regain its accuracy as it's going about is very much the case, very important. But like I've said with all other tanks, it's up to you what you want to go for. You either want to go for maybe, hang on, let me just sort that out. So maybe you want to go for something like coated optics because, you want to see a little bit further. Maybe you want to be a bit of a medium tank. Maybe you want to scout. I don't know why you'd want to, but you could. Maybe you could go for a binocular telescope. Whilst you're camping over at a ridge. Well, okay, maybe not. I wouldn't recommend camping with this tank. No, this tank isn't for camping. It's customized. It's very customizable, but it's not a camper tank. This thing can pull off long shots, but its accuracy on its gun would suggest otherwise. I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, I've made it. I've made long shots, but it's mainly because of luck and perhaps my equipment. So don't camp with this thing. I would highly recommend not camping with this thing. Don't go for that. If you want that to help you out in the battle, maybe, but just don't go for the binocular telescope. Heavy spore liner. This thing can be quite a bit of an artillery target if you're not careful. And of course, if the scumbag is really being a scumbag. You would also perhaps want maybe fill gas with CO2. Maybe. I mean, this thing can be set on fire if the enemy knows where to shoot. But I wouldn't say it was like... I wouldn't say it's one that would be more common. I've not really been set fired. The tank hasn't been set fired much. Don't need that. I've not had much problems with ammo racking in this tank. Not really. Not as much as I would in other tanks. So don't worry about that. That's about it for equipment. I don't really, to be honest with you, the enhanced gun laying drive is pretty much what I would highly recommend that because it adds 10% aiming speed, along with improved ventilation and a medium tank gun rammer. This thing becomes a fast firing D25T, and the reload time is about 10.3 seconds because I got my Jimbo's mod back. Yay! I really like that mod because it can very much help tell you what reload you've got. So definitely on that one. There's obviously with 100% crew. And speaking of crew, let's get on to the crew stat skills. Now, for your commander, what I would highly recommend is repairs for the training of the skill, because obviously in order to get Sixth Sense is a perk, so it only comes into effect once you've got it after 100%. So, you want to put something like repairs on so that if you do get hit in the tracks, you'll be able to recover relatively quickly and get out of the dodge. But once you've got to 100% on the repairs, train Sixth Sense, drop it for Sixth Sense, and get on to the next one. Actually, in that sense, though, once it does hit 100%, train the next one for like for a couple of battles. So maybe recon or something like that, and then once you can do that, you can drop both recon and that, and then just stick repairs back on whilst you've got Sixth Sense. Because for some reason, if you get to 100% with some things and you drop it, it might, unless you've got premium, take you back to like 96. So you have to retrain the skill again. So just a little heads up. For the gunner, I would highly recommend Snapshot, because obviously this thing, if you can retain accuracy of your gun as you're turning it, and this thing is evil for accuracy, is not very good for accuracy, every little helps. Very much so. What then I would train in is definitely repairs, because now you could be tempted and you could be saying, oh, drop that and go for Deadeye, but if you've been spending all your time with Snapshot and then to suddenly lose that Snapshot ability is not very good. I wouldn't recommend it. So what I would recommend is keep Snapshot and then go for repairs, and then once repairs are 100%, drop repairs and get Deadeye. You can still do a fair amount of damage with without the Deadeye, but if you have Deadeye as a perk, it makes things a lot easier. For driving, you can improve your traversity speed even more by giving your driver clutch braking. This is definitely something you want to have because it's a very handy skill. Basically, for those of you who do not know, it increases the vehicle rotation speed. So I may have 35 traverse speed on the stats, but I may end up having 38 to 39 on the game style. This is an immensely handy skill. The second The second skill I would recommend is either, this is kind of a bit for once. This is your choice. Off-road driving isn't a bad idea because that means obviously now that you can go a little bit faster with whilst you're driving. If you don't forget, because this thing could be a medium, I would say off-road driving would be a good idea. But then also you can have smooth ride, which is both of these are skills. So you know which one. Which one would you reckon? Which one was better? Do you want to be able to drive a little bit faster to get to your target quicker, or do you want to be able to shoot on the move? Don't forget, when you're doing a circle of death, you're very close anyway, so you've got to think about it. I personally would go off-road driving, but that's my personal choice. Your choice, very much different. And for the loader, because your commander is also the radioman, that's why you don't see it. Definitely go for repairs until he gets to 100%, then put safe stowage. Even though you don't have much problems with ammo racking, it still occasionally happens. So if you increase the likelihood or decrease the likelihood of that happening, that's a very good idea. So then you can go to safe stowage, then give him firefighting abilities, and then maybe brothers in arms. No, not brothers in arms. I don't know. Once you've researched that, I mean, this is going to take you a while to research, by the way, but once you've researched that, then feel free to go with any other perks of your choice. But mainly do repairs, then safe stowage, then get back on repairs, and then that way you'll be able to protect your shells from taking any heavy damage. So, with all that said, let's get to the battlefield and see you there. So here we are on Siegfried Line, and this is very good tiering. As you can see, I'm in my IS, and a fair amount of our opponents are in ISs as well. This is pretty much like, I don't know, the most common sightings. Oh, I've got all the top tier heavies in, except the French. So yeah, anyway, so as you can see, I'm actually getting up to the speed limit relatively quickly, and I'm not sure if my opponent, oh, hello, that's weird. I think there's a little bit of a glitch going on with some of the recording. I don't know. It does this occasionally, but whatever. So as you can see, I'm getting up to speed limit quite good. And for the IS, with the gun that I've got, it's very good for that speed limit. You don't actually need it to be any higher, which is why I actually reviewed this tank without the engine shock. So as you can see, we're coming up towards the centre of the town. Now normally I'm a little bit cautious about going first, but in this case I was just like, go for it! And then I spot a T-29. He might lag a bit because of the gun sound mod, but so I'm trying to go inside, trying to spot him. So alright, don't advance too far, and bang! My ally actually takes a hit from Artie, which is surprising. Don't know how the hell they did it, but I was just like, So this is when I spot a KV-1S and a Leopard moving up on the radar. And the T-29 player doing a very good job in blocking the shot, but I don't think we could see anything. So over here, there wasn't actually much of an ability for me to shoot through. I was just double scanning, making sure. And that's when I spotted that the KV-1S and the two KV-1Ss decided to move up. And I was still quite cautious. I didn't really want to I wasn't too sure as to where to go. So, slowly going forward, just trying to make sure. And artillery once again shoots our IS friend. Then I kind of spam going right. Though we do get a lucky shot on him, on the T-29 player. So I'm slowly going forward, checking my flanks. I do tend to flick around quite a bit in this one. So, as I'm advancing, then I spot a tiger, and I say slowly go up. Ah! Made a mistake. I take a shot. I take a shot to the under glacis. So you can see there, I take a penetrating hit, very powerful, nasty. So at this point, I'm like, right, I've got to be extra careful. And then I spot KV-1S driver, bang, solid hit to the side. He shoots and misses. I get a 405 hit damage. And then the Tiger player makes a mistake. He's completely so focused on knocking out that VK, he doesn't spot me. Bang! Though the shot went low, it still hit the target. And as you can see, although it doesn't actually show you on the left-hand side, this is about 10.3 second reload. So that's pretty darn good. So whilst I'm being aware, observing onto the right-hand side, I look to my left and find out that a number of the enemy tanks are already being knocked out. I spot the T-29 player on the enemy team is attempting to try and push up. I'm like, oh, you clever little bugger. So I back away from that because I know that's just going to be a forlorn hope. Our T-29 player, unfortunately, isn't too lucky and is now on 7 hit points. But now both the two KV-1S drivers are currently trying to hold off. So there's the KV-1S driver I had saw last time, and bang! I hit him on the... I don't know if you saw that, but I hit him there, where my cursor is, along that line there, which set him alight, giving me the kill. So that was my first kill. And that's pretty much. And as you can see already, 1,880... Well, 1,186. That's pretty effective. So bang, there goes the T-29. Just a bit too late. But that's alright, because I can just go into the other side and start shooting from the rear. So now at this point, we are starting to dominate, but we could easily turn. Of course, their IS just goes up in smoke, and their KD-1S, realizing his death is a pwn, just poning. New word, pwn. I get another kill, and oh look, there's a tiger. Now I'm actually gonna quickly pause because I actually make a rather interesting shot here. See if I can do this the right way. Right, okay, cool. So normal timing. Where is he? So the tiger, I'm waiting for the tiger to get to the right angle just to make sure, because here, this will probably bounce. So you don't want to, you got to kind of wait until the enemy makes a move. And so I fire, bang! You see the tracer? Bang! It lands squarely. You can see the damage marker, and I'm just like, oh, not bad. So by this point, the Tiger player goes, I wanna die, and decides to charge. And then when I'm looking over to the right, I spot, oh hello, I spot a Stug. And just as I get into position to start aiming, the Stug decides to back off. I wasn't too particularly fussed about taking on the Tiger because he was already dead by the time I got there. And so I was just hoping to get a little bit of a shot here. Ah, too late, can't get to the thing. So instead, now I think, right, okay, these T-25 and all the drivers are like, right, let's go hunt that Stug down. So by this point, the game is pretty much in the bag. And there's the Stug. Don't give a crap about the BRD. Right, okay, I know exactly what's going to happen. The T-25-2 is going to try and come around the corner, and the Stug is going to run like a bat out of hell. 3, 2, 1. Oh, I do love this. Yes, so there's that match for you. Very powerful, very devastating. Still, I mean, it wasn't a big match. It wasn't like a match where I got 6 kills and like 9,000 damage or something. It's actually quite a good match. You know, luckily we had a good team to work with. I was able to make effective use of my gun. I was able to land. I think I was able to land every shot that I fired, and in doing so, I got myself 2,218 damage, and pretty darn good game on that one. Quite a nice one. So I'll see you in the next game when I actually have a very good game in that one. So here we are on the second battle, and this time I was actually in a platoon with a guy called Hendrix and another guy called Rebel Forces. So, in this battle, it was at airfield. It was a standard battle, and they were both driving tier 1. Rebel was driving a tier 6 medium tank, and Hendrix was driving a tier 6 VK 3002D. I will do something on that later on. But anyway, to the battle itself. So, we deployed our tanks as per usual. I was like saying, hey, yo, Hendrix, Rebel, do you mind coming with me? Because I'm going to need some support, because no bugger comes to the right. Well, not as much as... I realised that no one was coming to the right, so I thought, right, we're going to have to hold this line as much as we can. So, this is the kind of my preferred avenue of attack, because going over the middle or the lower half just makes you more prone for enemy tank destroyers and artillery to basically kick the shit out of you. Whereas in over here you have a little bit more cover and a better position to shoot at the enemy. So Hendrix and Rebel forces are the only people at this current moment in time who are coming to assist us in this battle. Yeah, the entire... Oh, now the other team realise that they probably should send reinforcements. But by this point, most of the other enemy tanks would have arrived. So at this point, just like we're just going through the sort of talking, saying, right, okay, where do you want to go? I'll be going over here. Rebel, maybe if you want to go to the left. I don't know. We're not too sure. And so I'm kind of just probing the lines a little bit, because going around that section of the map leaves you very open, whereas over here, less likely to be shot at by artillery. So we take the chance that there isn't any enemy forces over to the perimeter here, because TDs like to go here. And at this point, Mr. IS shows up, and clearly isn't paying attention to his minimap. Just bang! And I miss amazingly well. First shot of the game, and I miss. How crap is that? And I'm like, ah! But nope, no one's still going for someone else, so shouldn't have gone for them. Bang! There's a nice solid hit to the side there, also the front actually. Now he starts to pay attention to me. Oh dear, he's probably going to shoot first. Try and dodge. No, I'm going to be hit. Ow! That hurt. But I was able to do a damaging blow. And with Rebel decides to start distracting him. This is the advantage of having good teamwork. And just as he's about to hit Rebel, bang! Hendrix takes a little shot, knocks his track out, and I knock out him entirely. So, by this point, a Type T-34 has joined the fray, and also, now we get a little worried. A Black Prince and an SU-100Y have joined the fray. And I'm currently keeping my eye on this IS driver to the right, because obviously he can still be quite a potent threat. So I'm like saying, Hendrix, could you get out the way? Never mind. Okay. Hendrix, yeah, could you move? Thank you. So at this point, Hendrix moves a little bit forward, saying, "Oh dear, so sorry about that." So now we're kind of waiting for him to arrive, when all of a sudden a VK 3001P appears, and I'm like, "Ah, no, you don't, bitch." So bang, solid hit to the side of his armor, and we take a ricochet. Whereabouts did he shoot? Where did we get the ricochet from? I don't think it actually highlights ricochet. Oh, there you go. Oh, hello. Can you see that? Just above the tracks, there's the ricochet. That's a very good ricochet. Anyway, so at this all point, the Black Prince decides to come right in front of us, rather than try to flank us, and bang! Did I damage him? No, I only bounced. That's one of the disadvantages, of course. The Black Prince, damn good armor. So the enemy forces now start to try and push along this front northern flank. We are being supported by two ISs, but they're not doing a fantastic job. Well, they are holding those guys on the left, so I should say they are fantastic. I decided to try and have a couple of pot shots at the Black Prince, but he is in a very good angled position. And then I spot the BK, but I don't think I've noticed yet. And one of our ISs who died calls out that we are a noob team because he hasn't got his way and he's all butt hurt. Aww. Then one of the enemy ISs makes a YOLO attempt and then realises there's an IS looking at him, so he promptly backs away. So at this point, I'm just like, right, can I get a shot on this SU-100Y? Come on, come on. No, I haven't got a shot. Damn it. That SU-100Y is quite a potent disaster, but I'll take that IS any day. So he tries to go across, I make him pay for that move, and now we're in position. Hendrix, by the way, is doing a fantastic job keeping the Black Prince at bay. I'm currently paying attention to something else. Should have been paying attention to my right. Hendrix is like, ah! Oh God! And I'm just like, yo, hold him off! I got this! And Hendrix is like, no, I can't! So he's like, oh shit, sorry mate, I didn't realise there were 2 heavy tanks there. Sorry, okay, I'll come around the back, I'll give you some support. So I move in to go the kill shot, bang! There's the enemy IS completely knocked out. So there's 2 kills to me. Hendrix is now taking on a Black Prince. The Black Prince is slowly advancing, but reinforcements are on the way. I have a little go at this VK. I pop a shot. Unfortunately, it ricochets, doesn't do anything. And so I think, you know what, okay, let's see. I'm running on 10 shells now. It's a lot of money. So I decide to say, right, sod this for a packet of well-cooked chips. I'm going to attack. So I move in, bang! Solid hit on this side, causing some nice severe damage. The VK player shows up, and the IS player on our team does the killing blow. Hendrix gets the kill, and rightly so. He did a very good job in holding those 2 guys back. So at this point, the game's pretty much going to hell for the enemy team. Most of the enemy teams are moving up. I'm highlighting to our team that there's probably artillery along this line here and here, and now we're just kind of moving up to take out the remaining enemy tanks. I go into a very nice shooting spot when all of a sudden a wild KV-3 appears out of the bloom. So I'm just like, hi, let me shoot you. And the KV-3 is like, oh god! And so I say, right, feel free to take that kill, mate. So bang. Hendrix bounces, I think, on that one, but then the Gewehrpanzer on our team knocks him out anyhow. The IS on the enemy team is kind of out of sight. I can't quite see him. So I slowly back up. I suppose that's the one downside to a slower engine. And there is an IS in the distance there. Just about in range. Bang. And I hit the ground. Bollocks. So the IS player is going to be engaging a KV-2. And our enemy Tigers has been knocked out. Still, there's 2 Tigers left in play. And unfortunately, the IS claims claims rebels. And thus then he dies. I shoot, and oh, do I get him though? Do I get him? And no shot, no shot. Why can't I get a shot? You pricks, video game, give me the shot. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Oh god damn it! Come on, give me a shot. Bang! Yeah, I got him. Oh dear. Now things get interesting. A Tiger on full health versus a half health IS tank. Okay, so I mark him on the map, like saying, right, artillery, I need you to be a real scumbag. And artillery, nope, that was an IS tank. And our IS tank starts to engage. Scumbag doesn't actually pay attention to him, he actually pays attention to the other Tiger. So now the Tiger is pretty much the largest threat on the team. The IS player on our team, though, gives him what for, and basically highlights the weakness of the armor. The Tiger goes crazy and charges him. I throw a shot into the side, giving him 360 damage. IS player on our team, I think, starts to fall back, even though he's within 1-shot range, giving me the opportunity to go round the flank. And I'm like, come on, come on, come on, come on. Oh, scumbag bastard. Now you decide to work, don't you? Ugh. Anyway, so artillery finally pays attention to the target, therefore by ending the game. Hendrix gets a lucky shot before the tank gets destroyed by the scumbag, and that turns out to be a very good game indeed. Just goes to show how a heavy tank can be, with 2 medium tanks, can completely and utterly annihilate an attacking force. So I'll see you back in the garage, guys. So, there you go. There is the review for the IS. In total, it's the summary time now. Well, hey. The summary time. Well, I would say that this tank is a very good tank. It's well worth the time and energy getting towards it. If you're a KV-1S driver and you enjoy the KV-1S, you'll freaking love the IS. This thing performs flawlessly in what it's supposed to do. It also is very customizational, so it's actually one of the few customizational tanks I've seen. In fact, this is the first tank which I've realized can actually do 2 things. Well, okay, maybe not the first, but this tank can very much do 2 things. It can either be a very powerful heavy tank which can support your attack and do some decent damage, or it can be a fast, light, well, it's a fast, medium tank which can maybe, not saying it's on par with like the Comet or the Cromer, never on par with them, but it can definitely be on par with some of the things like the VK361H, the VK, I believe the VK3002D if I'm not mistaken. Let me have a look, see, medium tanks, all nations, my VK, which is on fire because I tried playing it earlier and I failed. The VK can go... Oh, okay, so it's not going to be as fast as many of the medium tanks, but it can certainly do its part. The IS can certainly do its part, and it will most definitely be a major pain in the arse to enemy attackers. So this thing can work as a medium. I know people might look at you and just look at me like as if I'm some kind of freak, but don't forget, I've got the stock engine. This thing will get 700 horsepower, and if you mod it, if you want, because don't forget, you can lower the turret, you can give it a slightly smaller gun, but it makes it go faster, and if you can edit the tank so basically it will go faster, you can make this into a medium. I'm not saying it's going to be the fastest medium, but it could be a medium. I know this is kind of probably going to cause massive batshit crazy arguments in the comments section, but that's going to be the question. Can you make a tank like this into something of a medium? I'm not going to say it's going to be better than the Cromwell. I'm not going to say that a dedicated medium tank is worse than this. I'm going to say that this tank could be on par with some of the medium tanks I have driven, because it's really quite fast. It's surprisingly fast for what it's got, and you got a very powerful gun. So it's got a fair amount of perks to it. I'm not saying